Hi there everyone, this is Kelly and I am here to do a walkthrough of this deck called Tarot by Caro. It says 78 bright and beautiful tarot cards inspired by the Smith-Waite deck by Carolyn Clark. And then it has the website here. So you can see it's black. It's got sort of that black and bold color, illustrative style, folk art kind of feel to it. And that's kind of how I would probably, oops, I might have this upside down. It has the cups on the side, we have swords, we have pentacles, and we have wands. So we have the four elements on the side of the box. And the back. Inside of the box we have just a little like pamphlet, and she says here, I started working through the tarot with the intention of only illustrating the major arcana. Once started, I couldn't stop. Something about the bold and mysterious imagery pushed me to complete the task every day with fervor. As the mother of two small children, time is limited. Every night after putting them to bed, I rushed to begin working on my next card. It became a meditative process that really got me through some long and stressful days. The vision was to create a beautiful deck in my own style to hopefully inspire more contemplation and serenity into someone else's journey. Each card in Tarot by Caro, is inspired by Pamela Coleman Smith's representations in the long revered Rider-Waite-Smith deck and should be read accordingly. Use this booklet as a quick reference sheet or cheat sheet to your guide to your readings and enjoy. Thank you for supporting my vision and wishing all the best in your fool's journey ahead. So then it has a very brief guide, which is what she calls it, a very brief guide to the major arcana, just with some keywords here or some key things, a very brief guide to the minor arcana, and then you have each of the swords and the pentacles on the back, the wands and the cups on the front. So definitely a little white booklet, but it is clear and it is concise, and it gives you something at least to go with. The cards themselves, the backs are the same that we see on the back. I really love the coloration of the backs. I would obviously be coloring the sides black when I'm done here. And you can just see from the, it's a very bold, colorful palette here of what I would call illustrative folk style. Maybe that's what I would call it. That's kind of what it feels like. There's a bright, bold, big blocks of color. I'm going to zoom in here. Since we really don't have a guidebook to look at, we can dive right in. Bold blocks of color. You're not really looking at a lot of detail work. There's this simple, folky, bold, illustrative style. That's my description. It could be entirely wrong. This is not a deck that I ever would have purchased. A friend of mine purchased this and then passed it on to me. And I definitely would not have purchased this, but I have to say, when I started looking through it, it was charming. It did captivate me. So I haven't looked through it card by card. I've just kind of looked through it and been like, well, you know what? Some of those cards really do intrigue me. This one not as much with the polka dotted fool, but there is a youthfulness. There is a youth. There is a sweetness and an innocence about it regardless. The dog is definitely trying to keep them from going off of the cliff, and you have all of the basic symbols that you would have in the Rider-Waite-Smith, which is certainly, or non-Rider-Waite-Smith, right? This is definitely a traditional base deck in terms of the images. But this is the kind of card that really did intrigue me. So here we have the Magician, and instead of obviously the polka dotted clothes here, we have stars, and it really feels like, okay, we're tapping into this magical space here. Again, bold colors, blocks of color, illustrative. We have the elements all in place here. We have the cup, we have the wand, we have the sword, we have the plant from earth, right? But it feels like those stars and that the hands being like that make it really feel very magical. Here we have the beautiful High Priestess. I love her bare feet. We do still have, again, the black and the white pillars on either side, and even hints of pomegranates in the back. So the crescent moon, so what I'm saying, you're seeing a lot of the traditional symbols. It's just in her particular style. But I actually think it's really, I like even the black and the white hands or gloves there. It's just beautiful. Again, beautiful Empress, right? We have all of it. Instead of being in nature, she is holding nature, and her whole cloak is of flowers. I love the intricacy of her hair. I love the stars as her crown. She's holding her scepter. It's really beautiful. As you'll see, there's actually quite a lot of color tones, including stars and things like that. But there are actually, in the skin tones, there's a lot of variety of color tones here that is really lovely to see, even in this illustrative style, which you could have probably gotten away with less of that than some have been just like it has no color. But there's a lot of skin tones here. Here we have the Emperor. He has a white jumpsuit. It looks like he's literally on a throne made from animals in a really interesting, strange way here, holding the world, has the scepter, has the stars in the tips of the crown instead of around here. Here we have the Hierophant. This one is interesting, right? We definitely have a different take. The keys make up the crown here. We have the supplicants instead holding up these, seems to be holding up these flowers. So we have sort of the traditional supplication, but it's a little bit different. We don't have the bowing people in front of there. And so it does have a little bit of a different feel, but it still is very clearly representing the Hierophant. And again, let's see, one, obviously we won't even count him, but we actually have quite a variety of skin tones already, so in just 5 cards. So that's pretty impressive there. Here we have the Lover's card. We still have the Angel. We have the male and the female that are here. We still have sort of a garden in Eden. The snake is kind of wrapping all through here, which is kind of cool. The 2 trees are still there. Again, all of the symbols that you would expect to see in the Lover's card, but just in this illustrative style that, again, feels very folky and illustrative. I don't know what else to say. This kind of has an African feel to it, I guess, maybe with the feathered dresses, and just maybe the way that tree looks with the large sun on the back. I don't know, but that's kind of, and maybe the colors choices here. But we have the chariot. It seems to be a female charioteer, although I think you could argue that either way, but it does kind of seem like a female one, which is of course different than the traditional charioteer. I like this far better than the Rider-Waite-Smith. It's got a more normal, if anything, it has a small chariot versus a giant blocky one. Here we have the Strength card. Again, I really like her use of hair. I really do think that the hair, way that the hair flows is something that I have picked up on in a lot of the cards that I have seen. And, we've got a little bit different because she looks like she's literally holding the lion by its tail. Like she's just grabbing the lion by its tail. She's feeding him and tongue. It looks like she's grabbing it by the tail and tongue and saying, like, we're going to work together on this one way or another. This Hermit, again, really gorgeous. It has that feeling, right, from the Magician, but in reverse. So where we had oh no, I've got it mixed up. So now the stars are on the outside and that black emptiness is on the inside, and that feeling of entering into a portal there is pulling the outer in, where this is pushing the inner out, which I think is really cool to see the correlation between those two cards. So again, really kind of intriguing. Here we have a lot of people grabbing onto the sides of the Wheel of Fortune, trying to hold on in various positions. He's smart and is in the center, and maybe he's going to get whipped around a little bit less, but he's about to lose his crown. We have some esoteric symbols around the outside here. You know, again, typical Wheel of Fortune with that little folky twist. Here we have Justice, which I think is gorgeous with the different hands covering the eyes. We have hands almost look like maybe they're holding cups on these two hands. These two are comfortably resting, and then we have these holding the sword. Oh, so that would have been the scale, right? The weighing of the scale, but in the hands, and then we have the sword. So I think that's pretty cool. I do really love that Justice card. Of course, we do have Justice at 11 and Strength at 8 because this is a Rider-Waite-Smith based deck. Here we have the Hanged Man. A little bit almost, you know, with those looping around like that, that gives it a bit of a circus feel, but we have the tree behind it. We have the day and the night kind of alternating here on either side in terms of the clothing. Interesting death, right? We have this cloak turning into the very ground in which the skeleton is buried in. I love it. Again, very simple, blocky use of color that just it makes a very bold statement. Here we have Temperance in the mixing of the waters. I like the yellow flowers matching her yellow dress. Again, I like her hair. She's got wings. We've got that idea of running water. It really shows how just simple shapes can give a lot of ideas of what we're looking at without much detail. Very traditional devil here with the chained demons on either side, the mouth inside of the belly, and, you know, sort of double sets of heads. This is a very traditional, if you look at all the devil cards in historical decks, there are some crazy, crazy devil cards, and this really plays into all of those. The Tower card, again, very traditional with the lightning strike, the fire. Interestingly, we have a wind blowing on to maybe put the fire out. We still have somebody falling off of here. So we have the energy of the tower, but I like that addition of, okay, let's get this fire blown out and see what we have left to deal with. Here we have the Star card. I really love how she is like this silhouette and she blends in with the night sky. Other than, you know, obviously the grass that she's on. I think that's really cool. It really highlights the points of light in her eyes, even her nipples, but even into the stars itself. But it just really highlights the points of light here in this card. Here we have the Moon. I love that the dogs here, and the dog and the wolf, have shadows being shown. We've got the little crab here. We do have a face in the moon and in the sun. Sun is that kind of traditional baby on the horse. At least he doesn't have a six-pack. And we have that field of sunflowers in that flag there. I really love the shadows on the dogs. That stands out to me. Here we have Judgment. Again, pretty traditional. Angel blowing the trumpets, the dead rising, although it looks like they're coming out of the waves versus a tomb. And then we have the World card with the animals and the wreath and the lady in the middle. Again, quite traditional, but in terms of the style of the deck, it really works. So, I mean, they're just really different. I would, again, would I have ever purchased this? No, but there's something about it that is very appealing to me. So we'll see. Will I ever use it? I'm not sure, but it's definitely appealing to me more than I I thought it would have. There's just a boldness to it and a cleanness, even though it's very bold, and in many ways I would call it busy, but it's still, because of the larger blocks of color and the simple style of art, there is a cleanness to it, even though it is so bold and there is a lot going on. Here we have the Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands creating that pathway, the Three of Wands waiting for the ship, again quite traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, the Four of Wands in celebration, lots of people even over here, the Five of Wands in competition, the Six of Wands in accomplishment. This is a lady here instead of a male. The Seven of Wands, again we have a lady here standing her ground. The Eight of Wands, I do like that these are all lighting a single flame here. I like that much better than the Rider-Waite-Smith version of that. The Nine of Wands, holding the ground, or holding ground. You're almost there. And then this Ten of Wands, yep, she's got a heavy load, but she's carrying it. Not at all weighed down or crawling or anything, just a lot of fire energy. So I like the way those were done. Here we have the Page of Wands with a salamander. Has almost like a djinn or a nymph feel to the page and to the knight. They do seem like fire creatures, right? Fire spirits in some way. Then we have the Queen with the traditional cat and the sunflower, and the King with the lion and the salamander. We have the Ace of Cups, the Two of Cups, intertwining. Again, a lot of different skin tones. I wouldn't say you necessarily see age much, or even body types. I would say there's variety, and a lot of times it's just it's not really even an issue, or it's not even a focus on it, just based on the clothing. Three of Cups, the Four of Cups, turning away, traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, the sadness of the Five of Cups, and I like how the whole card, other than the cups, is very dark. He almost blends in with that, and we literally can see the water pouring out, and there is that glow to what we do have. Here we have the Six of Cups, remembering happier times. The Seven of Cups with all of the choices. Are we going to reach for our dreams or our illusions? The Eight of Cups, going off on the journey. Again, I like the use of shadow in the moon cards that have the moon there. Nine of Cups, really beautiful and simple. And the Ten of Cups with that sort of happy family. Again, see her hair going all the way down. I don't know, I like that folky style to the hair that she's doing. We have the Page of Cups, again, feeling kind of nymph-like. We've even got seaweed wrapped around. Seaweed in the Knight of Cups. Horse. Love the green hair going all the way down. The Queen of Cups seems part of the water. Actually, I really love that Queen of Cups. I don't think I've seen that one. And then the King of Cups is literally being illuminated by the cup. But again, it feels literally part and parcel. He's sitting on a rock, but he really does feel part of the waterscape. Like he could just melt away into the water. Ace of Swords. I love this Two of Swords a lot. The water and the skyline, which for me is the answer to the Two of Swords. Traditional Three of Swords. Four of Swords. This is an interesting one because we have these two taking a break, but they're taking a break over the energy of the Knight that's actually buried. Sort of that sleeping Knight, which I do like decks that have the Four of Swords with the sleeping Knights that are going to come back in the time of need. Five of Swords, at what cost? We have that. Six of Swords. Again, that's really poignant and beautiful. The little boy's face is so sweet there. The Seven of Swords, I quite like this. Again, we don't know what's happening. Like, there is a story here and we don't know what it is. We better dig deeper. The Eight of Swords, very bound up, but she's got a lot of swords around her that she could get herself out of. The Nine of Swords, I like that her hair is actually creating this sort of muddle here, this almost maze-like energy of being overwhelmed. And yes, thank you, I will take this Ten of Swords. So interesting, right? There's something that's coming to rest, and there is this another energy that's rising up. I can really use this my own self with a Ten of Swords, but I think that also, you know, even with this red, she's laying almost like in a pool of blood. If you are a Rider-Waite-Smith person, you could even use it that way. I feel like it's a really great Ten of Swords to go either way. Again, the pages and the knights do feel very elemental. Look at that. They do feel like they are nymphs or something like that. Look at the queen standing there, you know, part of the sky. Really gorgeous. I like the gray toned hair and the butterflies in the courts. Are they in all of the courts? Butterfly, a helmet. I don't think you see a butterfly in the page. But all of the courts have felt so far very elementally based as they are, but they feel like elemental spirits. Ace of Pentacles. Beautiful Two of Pentacles. I love her skirts. I love the ship in the background. Like, I just love this particular Two of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles, they're literally helping hold up the other one here. They're working together. The Four of Pentacles, I love this because she doesn't look like she's greedy. She is making good use and holding on to her resources, but doesn't have the greedy look that often Rider-Waite-Smith images do, and so I love that. Five of Pentacles is gorgeous because you have these two that are feeling disconnected and are struggling, but then you have all of these hands reaching out to give those, to hold those pentacles. And then the Six of Pentacles, you have sort of that higher power almost watering what they've been given to be able to grow those as well. And the energetic exchange here as well. Seven of Pentacles, she's done the work. I love the way her hair loops together. Now she just has to have patience. The Eight of Pentacles, very carefully working and having mastered. Love this Nine of Pentacles. Love this. I love the white glove. I love the raven or the crow on her hand. Again, you know, that very simple blocked folk, what I would call folk style, but it just really is quite poignant. Ten of Pentacles, she's literally the tree, right? So we really see this sort of growing deep roots, and this is going to continue to grow generation after generation. Again, pages feel very elemental and part of the landscape. Same thing even with the knights. The beautiful queen. Definitely have more of a larger size woman here, which you haven't seen a lot of. And then the King of Pentacles. I don't know. What do you think? It was surprising because I wasn't, you know, I would not have thought, I thought, oh, that's really cool, but, you know, it's not something that I would ever feel particularly compelled to use. It's, you know, it was said, you know, it's a very Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Generally isn't necessarily the color palette that I would go towards, with a lot of bold yellows, although they're kind of like orangey yellows. So even with those borders, you can see there's quite a lot of this kind of gold, yellow gold. There's throughout the whole thing, and so it wouldn't be a color palette I would normally be attracted to, but it really appeals to me. There's something about this deck that I find to be very appealing, something that I find to be there is a cleanness to it, even though it's busy, but there is also this depth to it with the darker palette. So it kind of has that liminal space feel. Let me zoom out a little bit here. I know this is like the fastest walkthrough I have ever done. But it kind because it kind of feels like that. Well, A, there was no guidebook, and B, it just feels like, oh yeah, this is what it is. This is what it is. This is what it is. You know, it just kind of has that matter of fact, just I am what I am, what I am feel to it that it lends itself to almost like a pippish feel, even though it is a fully illustrated deck. Three of Cups, building from the Four of Pentacles, moving to the Four of Cups. So the fours on either side with the growth. For me, this would be fire, air, water, and earth, as above. So below, do or don't do, you know, however, depending on the question that I'm answering. I do really like this deck. In some ways, it kind of feels like Japardea Tarot. You know, the Japardea Tarot is similar, one that I didn't necessarily think I would love because it is very bold colors, not this style at all. But there is a boldness to the color palette. Again, for me, it would be sort of a lot of the use of the yellow gold here, but I enjoy it. I think it's gorgeous. I love this card so much. So I don't know. I'll get back with you on the use of it, but I think it's beautifully done. I think that the creator, who is Carolyn Clark, that's the Tarot by Caro is the name of it, from Caroline, and I think she did an amazing job. I think the deck is beautifully illustrated. It has a whimsy, but also a depth. Some of the cards really stand out as sort of having a little bit of an extra. Yes, it's Rider-Waite-Smith base, but she definitely put some tweaks in there that makes it really readable. There is some depths of her illustrations that step outside of the just standard Rider-Waite-Smith that I think speaks of volumes. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely additions that were added in based on her knowledge of the tarot that I think are quite beautiful and stunning. And some of the cards really do strike you. Sometimes it's little things like the shadows. Sometimes, you know, it is the simplicity that really stands out. Sometimes you'll have like a strange, like a beautiful, I'm trying to find, like, I do love that Empress. I love the elemental spirit energy, but when I think of like the Hierophant or the, the Hermit and the Magician, you sometimes get that hit and it's like, ooh, it almost gives you a little bit of goosebumps with the power there. So it's just interesting. And the Death, I think, is really powerful. So it hits a lot of spaces that I think is just gorgeous. So, oh, here's the Hermit right there, of that sort of going inward, and I like the juxtaposition of that with the Magician. So yeah, I think it's one of those that is deceptively simple in its art, because that's just a style, right? That's a style of art, but that doesn't mean that the experience of the deck is going to be simple. So we shall see, right? We shall see as if I end up being one that I pull out and use, but I am super intrigued by its energy. Yeah, I'm really, it definitely draws me in. I kind of like it better like this, I will say, because it is busy in the sense of all of the boldness and all of the bold color. So it does have a bit of a boldness to it. And so I almost like it better in this setup, which is generally how I do readings for myself, is a 3-card with a do and a don't do. That very, very, very often is the way that I'm reading, or just a straight up 3-card. And I actually think think that this looks really gorgeous this way. I may put this down in my ancestor space where I do a lot of 3-card readings and see how it works and see what I think about it. But it's gorgeous. I'm really excited to give it a try and see if it continues to surprise me. Definitely going to color these edges black. But I hope you like this literally quick. I don't think I have, I mean, I'm sure there is some example like of some pip decks. But that's how it feels. Like I said, it has that sort of, look, it's just, here they are. This is how it's illustrated. I don't have to say too much about it. I really just wanted to be able to shuffle it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of this and literally achieve. I know some people are going to be like, see, stop doing hour-long walkthroughs because you're capable. No, I'm not going to do that. But I think that this still does it justice. Even in a short, it riffle shuffles really well. It's kind of got a thin but nice feeling, kind of a satiny feeling cardstock that riffles really beautifully. So I think I'm going to put this down in my ancestor space, do some readings with this, and see what comes up here, because I have a feeling it's going to hit harder than I thought. So this has been a look at the Tarot by Caro record timing for Kelly and a walkthrough.